The special meeting, the first public budget hearing of the Putnam County School District is now in session. We'll have a roll call.
District 1,
Here.
District 2, District 3,
Here.
District 4,
Here.
District 5.
Here.
And now the superintendent's statement.
Okay. In accordance with section 200.065 and chapters 1010 and 1011 of the Florida statutes, I am submitting the tentative balanced budget for fiscal year 2021-2022, and I am recommending the proposed millage to be levied. On July 22nd, 2021, you approved the tentative budget and millage for advertising. The purpose of today's public hearing is to approve the 2021-2022 proposed tentative budget and proposed millage rate, and to set the date, time, and place of the final public hearing on our budget.
Thank you, Dr. Sartzy. We'll now have Ms. Odom come up for the public hearing.
As Dr. Sartzy said, we're here today to present, discuss, and adopt the tentative millage rates and the tentative budgets for the 2021-2022 school year. I just passed each of you out a packet of handouts that we will briefly go through. I don't want to take up too much of your time. And Jane, I'll be happy to email those to you or just put them in your basket, ever how you'd like to get them.
I'll get them when I get back. That's fine.
Perfect. Okay, in order to be, your first handout is the rollback rate. And in order to be in compliance with the Florida Truth and Millage Guidelines, I have to discuss that, and it has to show in our minutes that it was discussed. And if you'll recall, what the rollback rate is the millage rate that it would take to bring into the district the same amount of tax revenue as we received last year. It's applied to the current year tax base, but it takes out the effect of any new construction. And that rollback rate, you can see from the handout, is 5.6669. Our 2021 actual millage rate is 5.780 on page 1 of that handout, the second column. This is an increase of 0.1131 mills from the rollback rate. And on page 2 of the handout, you'll see that it's an actual decrease of 0.117 mills from last year's actual millage rate. The entire decrease is attributable to the rate set by the legislature and our required local effort, and this year we did not have a prior period funding adjustment millage rate like we did last year. So that 5.780 mills that we're actually levying this year will bring in roughly 101.99% of the funds generated from last year's higher 5.897 millage rate. Again, as I mentioned to you, even though we're lowering the millage, we had to advertise it as a proposed tax increase because it's bringing in more money than it did last year. And you'll see is from page 3 of that handout, you can just pick any amount. I always just go with 100,000 appraised value of the property. So a property owner whose appraised value remains the same as last year, who has a property value of 100,000, would see a slight decrease in the taxes owed to the district of $8.77. That's only if the value of his home remained the same, which is highly doubtful since our property values are increasing so much. But these millage rates were set by the state, and we have to levy them in order to receive our FEFP funds, which is basically over $60 million. So, and comprises for our district, it's a varying percentage districts based on their property tax base and everything, but we receive about over 60% of our funds from the state. So we definitely can't lose out on that, so we're required to set that millage rate. Your second handout, I'm just going to go over these real briefly. They're really just informational things, and you can look at them later. I keep adding more years to it, so I know it's getting harder to see. I probably need to drop off some of the earlier ones, but I always like to start with that 2007, 2008 column, because that's the year that everything changed in the budgeting world for us when the market fell apart and everything. But on this first handout, which is a comparison of Putnam's property tax values, millage, and district revenue, you'll see the increase in our property tax base and the decline in millage rates and revenues generated from that first year of 2007, 2008, all the way to the present budget year of 2021, 2022. Our property base has increased from $3.9 billion in 2007-8 to $5.2 billion currently. Our millage rate has declined by 1.714 mils in that same period of time. So even though that's a huge millage rate decline, because the property tax base has increased, the actual decline in property tax revenue is only $743,110 from what it was in 2007-8. Valuations are on the rise, but due to the reduction in our required local efforts set by the legislature, also the reduction in capital millage, where we used to be able to do 2.0 mils and we only get to do 1.5 mils now. So we're actually collecting less in tax dollars. Took me a minute to figure out what that was. Your next handout is an analysis of general fund collection of property taxes, again for informational purposes. We're required to budget at a 96% collection rate, and we do so. And for every year except for 1 year, we collected well over that 96% rate. But to match what the state requires that we do, we can only budget 96%. We had that 1 year where we did not collect as much. I don't know if that particular year the sales tax certificates didn't do so well, but we were down $200,000 in revenue in 2015-16. But that didn't become a new trend or everything, I'm happy to say. So, you know, even this year we actually collected 97.92%. So we had more funds than we had actually budgeted to receive in property taxes for the general.
Rhonda, can I interrupt you just a minute? Jane, do you mind muting? You got some background noise, I think, coming in. Jane,
No.
is that not coming in there? Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
We're just hearing some background noise coming in on one of the mics. So
It's not mine because there's no noise.
Oh, wait.
y'all still hear it?
It was faint.
It was faint just then, but I
Okay.
don't know where it's coming
I
from.
apologize. We're just hearing some background noise, so maybe it's a phantom mic somewhere. Okay, sorry, Jane.
Okay.
Okay, so on page 4 of your handouts, it's entitled Analysis of Decline in Capital Dollars. You can see from 2007-8 through the current year, the tax base did go up, as we said, so we're projected in more in capital millage dollars than last year, but still over $400,000 less than we received in capital millage dollars in 2007-8. We no longer receive PICO new construction funds, so that's $500,000 less than we received that first year. We no longer receive PICO special maintenance funds, so that's $1.5 million less than we received in 2007-8. So overall, we've seen a decline in capital funds of $2.5 million for the year compared to the amounts received in 2007-2008. The next quick page to look at, you've seen this before. This is the page that we put in the newspaper. This is the notice of tax for school capital outlay. And I thought now would be a good time to look at it since we've been discussing millage and tax revenue. We're required to advertise how we plan to spend that 1.5 mils of capital outlay on capital outlay purposes. We do not have to spend everything that's listed in this ad. It's just a plan. However, we cannot spend on anything that we do not put there on that list. And the trim guidelines specify the categories and the language that can appear on the advertisement. I like to put as much as I can into this ad because later if we decide if a need comes up and we decide we're going to spend it on something different, we have to actually put this whole page back in the newspaper again and conduct another public hearing in order to add something to the list.
That's the baby. Jane,
Yes.
we can hear a baby crying.
Okay, well, I don't know what to do. I would be respectfully bow out if you need me to, but
No. Okay,
how do I mute?
It's on it's like a button at the bottom, should be. on your link.
I see a microphone. Is that it?
If you can touch it.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, the next
That was
page.
it.
Yeah. The next page is labeled page 6, and it's the capital projects millage budget, how we plan to spend that 1.5 mils. As you can see, it'll bring in $7.5 million. And after we fund our maintenance department, utilize the flexibility that we have to pay a small portion of our property insurance and set aside the current year portion that we need to pay toward our master purchase agreement on the bus loan and on the energy loan. I've also set aside $3 million to help us in special facilities in that quest that we have to get the special facilities funding. And we have an additional $548,000 of new money that I'll put into maintenance department that can be used for remodeling renovation needs for the year over what they already receive in funding their department and the budget that they had asked for. The next page is page 7. This is also a page that appeared in the newspaper. It's entitled Budget Summary. You'll see from this page that it's a one-page compression of our budget summarized by fund type, revenue source, and expenditure function. At any time, you all can request that I send you a printout for any school or department, any fund, or the entire budget, and I can email it to you or put it in your box if you're interested in looking that over. From this particular handout, as I always do, I want to call attention to a couple of things. In the first column, about a third of the way down, you'll see our fund balance. You'll see that July 1st, 2021, and that was after the fiscal year ended and everything rolled back, and we had balanced the beginning fund balance that we start the new year with in the general fund is $12,714,803.47. And down at the almost very bottom of the page, you'll see that we are estimating that the ending fund balance in the general fund on June 30th, 2022 will be $5,793,558.86. Now, I wanted to briefly explain the fund balance in the general fund, so if you'll look at page 8, I can show you how those two fund balance figures are broken down. That 2021 ending fund balance that becomes the very beginning of our new year starting fund balance is comprised of reserve of project balances within the general fund of $4.8 million, reserve for encumbrances in all projects, and that's money that's already spoken for, over $1 million there. Our reserve for inventory, and that's the value of our inventory on hand, whether it's maintenance items like tires, whether it's gas, diesel, anything like that. It's not a cash item, but that's $236,879. We maintain our 3% mandated unreserved fund balance that we had to have from the 2021 budget at $2.5 million. And we had an unreserved cash fund balance that was a rollback to the pot after all revenues received and after what was left out of expenditure budgets that people did not spend their entire budgets. Now, our proposed ending fund balance, as you know, going from $12 million to $5.7 million, it's a lot less than the beginning fund balance, and it is every year. The carryover project balances and carryover encumbrances are taken out of the projected ending fund balance because we assume that we're going to receive all the items on the purchase orders and close them out and pay them. And it's also assumed that these special projects within the general fund, that people will spend those budgets and they'll be gone. So those two figures alone reduced our expected ending fund balance by $5.9 million. And the projected 6/30/22 fund balance, as I mentioned, is $5.7 million. And again, that's inventory. I did a reserve for McKay scholarships, and that's about the amount that hit us last year when they, in the third calc, take away the funds that they take for our students and give to whoever qualified for the McKay scholarships. A reserve for the family empowerment scholarships, which was a newer one, but it has really grown in the number of people that are accepting that, or being able to qualify for it and accepting it. So I set aside a reserve of $1 million for that. I set aside a reserve for the FTE audit adjustment, and I had discussed that briefly at the meeting to advertise. Holly, I'm aware you're not there, but I think you sit in on the FTE audit, and you know, with some transportation and certification findings and things like that. It was much larger than what we're used to. So set aside 200,000 for that. It's for it wasn't for this fiscal year, it was for a prior fiscal year, and when they audited it, and the funding will actually be reduced from our funds this budget year we're in now, because they're always, following up on that.
Mrs. Odom,
Mm-hmm.
on the Family Empowerment Scholarship,
Yes, ma'am.
excuse me, the million that you've set aside in
Mm-hmm.
reserve, if at the end of this coming school year, all this money is not used up, it rolls
It rolls
back?
to fund balance.
Back in the fund balance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Anything that's not used in any of those categories, and anything that's not used in budgets, in budgeted items, all roll back to
Yes,
fund
ma'am.
balance.
Thank you.
The reason I went so high on that is because it had been a new one, and the first year it hit, and it was at 400,000, I believe, which I wasn't expecting. I hadn't even really, it wasn't on my radar at all. I always budgeted for McKay, but then this year that just ended, it was over $800,000, and they changed some of the parameters for it this year and made it easier to get, raised the, now I think, and, don't quote me on this, but I'm thinking now a family, if their income is less than $100,000, they can still qualify for it. So they raised that value up quite a bit there. And I did the normal, doing a reserve for FTE shortfall in case the kids don't come, and a reserve for a proration in funds, because every year, they end up prorating us a little bit. And set aside the 3% mandated unreserved fund balance, and have an additional 422,000 of unreserved fund balance to add to that. So that's what comprises the $5.7 million. The next handout is like a 3 or 4 page, and it's really just something for you to look at if you're even interested. It's the Excel version of the general fund budget. That's where I start each year when I begin the initial balancing of the budget. It shows you the estimated revenues for the year, and most of them come directly, all the ones that say 300 as a revenue source, 310 FEFP, SAI, those are categoricals. All those figures are given to me directly from the state. The ones that are 400, those are estimated, like interest income, things like that. But it's comes really close to what we get every year, but all the 300 should be right on unless they change our budget through FEFP calculations. But this handout, when you have time to look over it, please get with me if you have any questions, but it shows you all the estimated revenues, the transfers in from the capital budget for funding the maintenance department. It does not include carryover balances for the state projects, or the encumbrances or inventory figures, as those are string attached figures and are a separate part of the budget. But on the very last page, I've added those back in so that you can see the total overall general fund budget matches to the penny what was put in the paper and advertised and what's going to be transmitted to Tallahassee. It also shows the budgeted expenditures by categories, salaries, benefit, state categoricals, charter school payments, operational costs, school discretionary dollars, departmental budgets, district initiatives, and fund balance categories, as well as a breakdown of each of these categories as a percent of recurring revenues. Next, I always like to show y'all, you probably only see this once a year, but it's an analysis of the base student allocation. That's page 10, I believe. It went up $53 over last year's, and the base student allocation are actually our flexible state funds. We were receiving $209.44 more per student in base student allocation funds than we received this time 14 years ago, 2007, 2008. That's 5.03% more, which is well below the inflation factor since 14 years ago. And then next, page 11, you'll see an analysis of our FTE. You can see that our FTE that we're currently being funded at is a decline again over last year's held harmless number by 14 FTE. This one I've kept since 2002, 2003, and we've declined by over 1,500 students. That's an average of 80 students a year in the last 19 years. And as I mentioned earlier, I set aside a reserve of $500,000 for an FTE shortfall for this year, because we really don't know how things are going to look with our landscape changing every day, it seems like. Page number 12 is just a history of our fund balance for Putnam County School District. I try to share this with you each year. It's our own fund balance history, and it's also a comparison of how it compares to the Florida school district average up until the last year that's been posted by the Auditor General's office. They're usually 2 or 3 years behind. We had been in a steady decline for several years, as had the state average, and one of the major causes of that was that we were spending more than our recurring revenues basically because we were still being funded at around the 2007, 2008 levels, but our expenditures had the effects of inflation built in. We also have some mandates that are not fully funded and our programs that are no longer self-sufficient. But through working together and cutting our budgets, we reversed that trend. And even though we were able to give out raises in 2019 and 20, and it lowered it some that one year, we're steadily building it back up. So, this last year that ended, we added back to it some. And really, basically, that's all I've got, before you today. But before we go to the roll call vote, are there any questions for me from board members, superintendent, attorney, anybody?
I just saw one. I never noticed this before. It was on page 11. Held harmless. What does that mean?
Held harmless last year?
In 2020, 2021,
That is,
April count.
they took the number of FTE that we had projected that we were going to have, and because COVID hit and all the students didn't come and everything like that, they continued to fund us for that number of FTE. If they had not, we would have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
See that.
Actually, probably about $3 million, I think, but they held us harmless. I don't expect them to hold us harmless again this year if it doesn't come, but we only had 10,215 students when we were being paid at 10,555 students.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm very happy about the fund balance. I mean, that's something we celebrate because I think we're trending in the other direction now than we did a few years ago. So
Yes, sir, definitely.
thank you, Rhonda. And it's been a team effort.
It's a team effort for sure.
Reverse that trend. Yeah.
Our FTE projection on page 11, so we're projecting around 10,500, is that?
Yes, 10,541 is what they've actually got on the, it was on the conference report, and we've already received the second calculation, and that's the numbers that we're currently being funded on. Yes, ma'am. And it'll be after the October count, and it takes them a while to get everything done and corrections to be made. So actually, if we're down, or even if we're up, we won't see the difference in funding until about December. They'll apply it to the whole year, but it won't actually come through until about then.
So last year it was, what, maybe?
Last year, if you look at the top numbers and see 2020, 2021, we started out projected at 10,551.71.
How many showed up?
When all was said and done, we only had 10,215.04.
Okay.
And that would have been,
340.
I'm not really sure what we would have had to do if they had not held us harmless. It would have been rough.
You can tell that's an outlier. I mean, last year was an outlier for everybody, but
Yeah.
it definitely is not part of the trend. Yeah.
They had very few school districts that actually met their numbers or increased, and that was the one thing in the last, they did hold us harmless, but when the second executive order came out, they said that they were going to hold us harmless except for the cost of the growth in the growth districts. So that's when we did get a proration there at the end, and it was over $200,000 for us. So they kept everybody as good as they could, but because they had to fund the growth districts, they took what that funding cost was, and they divided it between all the districts that they held harmless. But I much would prefer that $200,000 hit that we took than not being held harmless, because it would have been a lot worse than that.
Right, right.
And you can see, just looking at the trend over the last however many years, you see why we've taken the action we've taken.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
as far as our consolidation.
Yes, sir.
Right direction.
Fiscally responsible.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you,
That's exactly what we're
Ms.
trying
Odom.
to be.
That's what we're trying to do. Yes, ma'am. So I guess if there's nothing else for me, I'll turn it over to you, Lex, and we'll do a roll call vote.
Okay, so we're going to do a series of motions. Each of them will do a roll call vote. The first motion is to approve the tentative required local effort millage rate of 3.532 mils. I need someone to make that motion and second it. You could just say, I move that, and then second.
I move that.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We'll now go to roll call vote. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
I read her
Said
lips.
yes. She
Yes, she
now.
said yes. Okay.
Ms. Crawford, you could unmute now. Could you
Yep.
hit that same button? Sorry.
That motion passes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right, now the second motion is to approve the tentative discretionary millage rate of 0.748 mils. Is there someone make a motion?
Motion that.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Motion passes. Third motion, approve tentative capital outlay millage rate of 1.500 mils. That didn't sound right, so, yeah. So approve the tentative capital outlay millage rate of 1.500 mils. I need a motion.
So moved. Yes.
Second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
That motion passes. All right. Fourth motion, approve tentative total millage rate of 5.780 mils, which is 1.996% above the rollback rate. I need
Moved.
second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
It's been, that motion passes. Fifth motion, approve tentative general fund budget of $100,174,098.45. Need a
Moved.
need a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
That motion passes. We'll move to the sixth motion. Approve tentative debt service funds budget of $108,531.38.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
That motion passes. The seventh motion, approve the tentative capital projects funds budget of $12,557,016.71.
Move that.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
That motion passes. Eighth motion, approve the tentative special revenue funds budget of $31,257,619.03.
Move that.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll go to roll call vote. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
That motion passes. We'll move to motion number 9, approve the tentative internal service funds budget of $31,293,728.92.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll now move to roll call vote. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
That motion passes. We're moving to the 10th motion, approve the tentative permanent funds budget of $132,039.46.
Move that.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll move to roll call vote. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll move to motion number 11, approve the tentative enterprise funds budget of $24,111,825.74.
Move that.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Move to roll call vote. District 1,
Yes.
District 2 is absent. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
That motion passes. Move to the final, the 12th motion, approve the total district tentative budget in its entirety of $199,634,859.69.
So moved.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. We'll move to roll call vote. District 1,
Yes?
District 2 is absent. District 3,
yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
That motion passes. All right. And then we need a motion to advise the property appraiser that on Tuesday, September 7th, 2021, at 5:05 PM in the school board meeting room, 200 Reed Street, Palatka, Florida, a public hearing will be held to consider the final millage rate and the final budget.
So moved.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. We'll move to a roll call vote. District 1,
Yes?
District 2 is absent. District 3,
yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
That motion also passes. Rhonda, is there anything else we need?
I don't believe so. That'll get us covered, and we'll notify the property appraiser tomorrow. I do it through eTrim now, and I'll go in tonight and open up the budget and send out an email telling people they can start spending their money. My purchasing department will be extremely busy tomorrow because people have been begging.
Do you want these?
No, I don't need them. Do not need them at all. And we'll
you,
just
Rhonda.
note that internal services and enterprise, I think you all know that, but that's NEFAC. We are NEFAC's fiscal agent, so we have their funds within our funds too. So 2 of those big funding sources belong to the Northeast Florida Educational Consortium. So, okay.
Thank you,
Thank you
Rhonda.
for your time.
And then you can
Okay. This meeting is adjourned.